What's up, everybody? Soren Baker here, Unique Access Entertainment. Um, just can't believe the news just got about Hitman Howie T. Um, just shocked, shocked, and keep getting this bad, terrible news about our heroes and icons. So terrible stuff, and I'll be taking questions as needed. But yeah, remembering Hitman Howie T. It's just shocking stuff because he did so much great work. For those joining us now, I'm just getting the news about Hitman Howie T. As you guys may know, I did interview him here on Unique Access Entertainment and got to know him a little bit, texted with him, talked to him for an extraordinarily long amount of time. I just got word that he had passed. I don't know what's happened yet, but I just am stunned. Uh, Definitely let me know if you have any questions. But I just, from interviewing Hitman Howie T, I've been wanting to interview him for a long time. Got to shout out Dana Dane. I went live with Dana Dane earlier today and talked about what Dana Dane is doing. And Dana Dane had connected me with Hitman Howie T because Hitman Howie T, of course, produced Special Ed, who was on Profile Records, and Special Ed and Dana Dane were both on Profile Records. So Dana knew Hitman Howie T just from being indirect label mates, but then also just being in the game. So I'm just shocked. I just got word that Hitman Howie T passed today, August 2nd, 2025. We had I texted with Hitman Howie T a few months ago, but I didn't know that anything was going on. So I'm not sure exactly what has happened yet, but this is yet another big loss in rap. Last month, we lost Young Noble from the Outlaws less than a month ago, and now Hitman Howie T. Just got word has passed, and I've interviewed Hitman Howie T. Some of my favorite interviews with a producer on Unique Access Entertainment, and I see a lot of people have commented and are watching or rewatching those videos. People are talking about his interview or the interview where Full Force and Kid and Play were on the Breakfast Club recently, talking about Hitman Howie T. And shout out to Uncle Jam's Army on Instagram, had just posted about the loss of Hitman Howie T. But yet again, we've lost another iconic figure in the rap game. And it sadly keeps happening. And it's never not shocking when it does. For those that recall and have seen it, I did a Rap's Most Artistic Album Covers on my First and 15th series, and I did the Chub Rock featuring Hitman Howie T, um, because, of course, they're on the cover together, uh, and they worked extensively together. Uriel Heaven's Garden, appreciate the shout out in the chat, talking about Hitman Howie T and some of my memories with him. Uh, Obviously, Hitman Howie T worked with the real Roxanne, among many, many others. But, Romantic Call, when I interviewed Hitman Howie T for Unique Access, one of the things we talked about was his work on Romantic Call by Patra. And definitely check out that interview if you haven't already. One of the things that Hitman Howie T told me was that Yo Yo was actually supposed to be on Romantic Call by Patra. So that was crazy. And with Romantic Call by Patra, which is an amazing song and definitely a remarkable video, that Hitman Howie T had told me that somebody had stole his plaque that he had for Romantic Call. Yeah, Protection Dog Secured. Damn is a good way to put it, man. RIP to the great Hitman Howie T. I'm reflecting on interviewing him here for Unique Access. Dana Dane connected me with him, and just amazing conversation that I had with Hitman Howie T. And after the conversation, some of the other stuff we talked about and kept in a little bit of touch afterwards. But he was telling me when he had gotten a job at Warner Brothers Records, how Warner Brothers wanted to get out of black music and rock and into television, which was kind of strange that they hired Hitman Howie T, who obviously was a phenomenal producer, um, but that's what people were doing. And Hitman Howie T also told me during his interview about how Dr. Dre didn't want to produce all Death Row records, and how Warner Brothers, in another strange twist, had stopped Hitman Howie T from signing the Black Eyed Peas. Hitman Howie T did so much work with so many different artists, and most famously, of course, at least to me, or one of the two most famous things he did and did consistently was Chub Rock. And check out the interview I did with Hitman Howie T. I still am shocked that he passed, but just passed today, August 2nd, 2025. But that Chub Rock, if you listen to it, uh, Hitman Howie T talks about how Chub Rock took a shot at him on Just the Two of Us. So that was shocking. How uh, Chub Rock and Hitman Howie T were going through a little beef internally when they did Just the Two of Us. So in my interview, Hitman Howie T was explaining to me how Chub Rock was going at him, and how Hitman Howie T was telling me also during one interview, one clip you can find here on Unique Access Entertainment, that he really produced or had a big hand in producing BBD's Poison. Yeah, Uriel Heaven's Guardian. I love Chub Rock too, man. I've been trying to get him on Unique Access for a while. Haven't pulled it off yet, but now obviously it would mean even more because of the passing of Hitman Howie T, his coordinator, longtime collaborator. Hitman Howie T also, you didn't know, produced Color Me Bad and worked on I Want to Sex You Up. That's another one of those songs that's hugely influential and iconic. And New Jack City, of course, one of my favorite scenes in there, for those that know, is the dance to that song that uh, G Money's girl that becomes Nino Brown's girl is dancing to while that song is playing, is always in my mind or my memory when I think of New Jack City. But shockingly, Hitman Howie T told me that of all the work that he did, Color Me Bad was the only production that gave him royalties, which is terrible, given the fact that Hitman Howie T did so much great stuff. Um, and when you think about how far rap has come, and you think about it, in the early days when Hitman Howie T and Chub Rock were on Select Records and doing a lot of stuff, and The Winner Is, for instance, Hitman Howie T told me that they split $25,000 for that album. That's all they got. They didn't get any royalties, and that's you know, the dirty part of the game. But that was early in the game, and Select Records, according to Hitman Howie T, didn't give them royalties. But um, thanks for recording his best interview, Soren. He was an icon. Thank you, Protection Dog Secured, because I take a lot of pride in my work here on Unique Access and everything else I do with my books and my television and my films and everything that I do. So I really appreciate that, Protection Dog Secured, because, as I hope you guys can tell from watching the channel, I love this. And this has been my favorite thing in the world since I was 10 years old. I've been blessed to be able to do it for a living now and to be able to keep doing it. And thank you, Uriel Heaven's Guardian, for saying I do a great job on Unique Access. I really appreciate that. And, rest easy to the big OG Howie T, Herbs One. Uh, Shout out to you for chiming in. Uriel Heaven's Guardian, thanks for saying that. Not many do it the way you do. Thank you so much for that. And talking to people like Hitman Howie T is one of those things that makes this a dream come true. And to have somebody like Dana Dane, who I'm friends with, and I just talked to this morning and did a live with him on Unique Access that somebody like Dana Dane took the time out to connect me with Howie T, and then Howie T and I did, you know, an amazing interview, which I'm glad you guys, those of you who have seen it, I'm glad you saw it and enjoyed it. Hitman Howie T told me that, they went from 25,000 on And the Winner Is with Chub Rock to then he got 100,000 to produce Chub Rock's The One album. So that just shows you how rap was progressing and how Hitman Howie T, despite not getting royalties, at least his pay was starting to get going and heading in the right direction, um, which is definitely something that he deserved because, that's what, you work hard, you do a great job, and people around you make money, and you're a large reason why they do, then you should be rewarded. And I'm glad that Hitman Howie T told me he did get the 100,000 to produce Chub Rock's The One LP. Um, what crazy thing that Hitman Howie T told me, and rest in peace to him. I just found out a few minutes ago that he had passed today, August 2nd, 2025. Is that Hitman Howie T told me when I interviewed him for Unique Access that he never had a production contract to produce Special Ed. Now that was mind blowing, given that Special Ed Profile Records did such a great job and did so many things. Uh, Uriel Heavens Guardian, thank you for that comment. You asked the questions that all fans want to know. As I hope you can tell, I'm a huge fan myself, and that's why I got into this, because I love the music. As a kid growing up in Maryland, I had the privilege and honor to be able to see a lot of artists come through to Baltimore and to DC, because I grew up about 20 miles from each one. I got a chance to see Chub Rock at the Capitol Center in 1993, and he performed with Rare Essence at the Capitol Center, among many others. But Chub Rock and Rare Essence were the headliners. That was an amazing concert to be able to see. Just the two of us was big at the time, and a huge song in DC, and it had go-go remixes. Um, you know that that's a great memory I have, and I'll always cherish, because I got to see Chub Rock in his prime perform, and at the Capitol Center at the time, that was an 18,000 seat venue. So that was phenomenal to see. Chub Rock is one of the best freestylers. Yes, I got to see Chub Rock perform, like I was saying, Landover, Maryland, the Capitol Center, 1993. Just the two of us was cracking in DC, both the original version and then the different go-go remakes. Protection Dog secured DMV around the way. Yeah, man, I'm from Maryland, born and raised. I love Maryland, and you know, definitely Chub Rock going to be in Houston this weekend. Man, 2K Grind '09. Definitely go out, support him, and give him some love and support, because he lost friend, collaborator, relative, etc. Stray Gorilla 22. Thanks for joining the chat here. Um, Another crazy thing that Hitman Howie T told me when I interviewed him for Unique Access was that he has the masters for Special Ed's LPs. So that was wild to hear, because a lot of the times, of course, the masters don't end up with the producer or with the artist themselves. They end up at a label, or they end up in some storage thing or some studio that may or may not exist anymore. So for Hitman Howie T, when I spoke with him for Unique Access, to have the masters for Special Ed's albums, that was quite the revelation. So that was amazing. Protection Dog secured. Thanks for becoming a member of Unique Access. That really helps a lot, because I'm trying to do as much as I can to get this spot to trying to get Unique Access to the top. And everybody that loves the channel, supporting it, definitely helps motivate me and keeps me going, and keeps people wanting to do interviews. You guys watch and support them. That's why they want to keep coming back. Hitman Howie T, of course, is going to get a lot of the limelight now that he passed, but I was glad to be able to get him on Unique Access. And when I interviewed him, he told me he actually never wanted the limelight. That's why I think he laid low, and that's why he didn't do a lot of interviews. And I'm really blessed that Dana Dane connected me, and that him and Howie T agreed to speak with me, and then kept in touch with me. Or Herbs One, uh, shout out for you for staying in and doing a lot of these things. Chub Rock, a lot of the comments that we're seeing here, Chub Rock definitely has bars, that's for sure. So, um, someone like Hitman Howie T, I was lucky to be able to talk to. Shout out to Dana Dane for making it happen. But talking to Hitman Howie T, both on and off camera, and then following up and keeping in touch with him a little bit after we did the interview for Unique Access. I mean, he told me all he wanted to do was make beats. So when you're able to do something and do it at such a big level, and then to be able to live your dream, that's what we're all striving to do. Unfortunately, and knock on wood, I've been able to do it. So that was amazing. Uh, One of the things I talked about a little bit ago in this chat, and thank you for tuning in, is Hitman Howie T was talking about how he didn't get any royalties from Chub Rock. He got 25,000, or they got 25,000 to do, and the winner is. And then by the time they did the one, Hitman Howie T got $100,000 to produce that album. But Hitman Howie T also told me during the interview with Unique Access, definitely check it out if you haven't already, that he didn't want Special Ed to sign with Select Records, and that's why they went with Profile. So that was a gem and something that was crazy. And to see Special Ed success that he had on Profile, famously, Special Ed sued Profile and had other issues with them, but at least they were able to enjoy a lot of success together. Howie's teed off, 2K Grind '09. Yes, Howie's teed off, and he had a lot of great insight, which I was fortunate to get to experience from talking to him, both for the Unique Access interview that I did with him. You can check it out if you haven't already to see him talk, but then just offline. That's one of the great things about what I've been able to do and build in my career is to be able to have a relationship and develop one with a lot of these icons in the game and really, get to know them. Um, just got a long comment. Let's read it. Butter Butter Thief Music, through his gift, Howie T gave joy to so many, and now we have even more appreciation for his work. Thank you for your work, Soren. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. And yeah, I mean, thank you, Butter Thief Music, for that comment. And yeah, we're all fortunate. I know, thank my life is better from listening to Hitman Howie T's music, man. Like, I got a lot of joy, both just in my room growing up and then going to clubs in Baltimore and Washington as a kid and getting to see Chub Rock perform in Maryland when I was growing up, Landover, Maryland, at the Capitol Center. That was a special night. I got to see him with Rare Essence, and that was crazy. Another crazy, speaking of crazy, one thing that Hitman Howie T told me that was wild when I interviewed him for Unique Access is that Russell Simmons wanted to buy Special Ed's lyrics for Slick Rick. So that was a wild revelation and story, and just shows you that how powerful Special Ed was and how great stuff really is. And then on top of that, kind of these behind the scenes dealings that a lot of people don't know. So definitely check out my interviews with Hitman Howie T on Unique Access if you haven't already, so you can get the stories straight from Howie T. Um, Hitman Howie T, because he was a veteran and had been in the game, through doing stuff with Full Force, well, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. He was Hitman Howie T told me he was the one that taught Special Ed song structure. If you listen to Youngest in Charge and you really pay attention to it, of course, it was partially because of what was going on at the time in rap, but there weren't big choruses and the verses just kind of stop at times. And that's because Hitman Howie T told me during the interviews that Special Ed just came in with books of rhymes and all these rhymes and was a battle rapper and all this. So Hitman Howie T had to teach Special Ed a song arrangement, and it clearly worked because Special Ed then later, of course, for those that know, went on and produced Junior Mafia and produced Tupac and different things in addition to his own material. And you can check out my interviews with Special Ed on Unique Access as well. But yeah, Tim Davis, thanks for joining the chat. And Howie T, wow, him and Chub Rock were low-key inspiration for real. Like their style and look. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been talking about here. I got the chance to talk to Hitman Howie T for my interview, but then also talk to him off camera and interact with him. Uh, Uriel, Heaven's Guardian, that era of music will never happen again to me. That was a pinnacle of music, but that's just my opinion. Well, I would agree, man. The To me, the best year in rap history is 1988. I think that's a phenomenal year, and of course, Chub Rock, Howie T, Special Ed uh, were in there and right around there and right after that too. So, um, Kid, Tree Nation, those transform scratches on Rock and Roll Dude, Chub Rock were crazy, absolutely. And if you haven't seen Terminator X and I talk about that on the interview I just did with Terminator X on Unique Access, where he took Rock and Roll Dude and used that on Public Enemy. So definitely crazy stuff. Uriel Heaven's Guardian. We had the best childhood with great music. That's for sure, man. I definitely feel honored, blessed, and fortunate that I was able to grow up at the time I did, where I did in Maryland, and then get to really experience all this great music and then be able to see someone like Chub Rock perform live. John Walker, Hitman, Howie T, and Chub Rock was fire. R.I.P. Yeah, man, definitely fire. And Hitman Howie T told me during an interview how he picks samples. So definitely watch those. It's sad that I won't get to talk to him again, and that's one of the terrible things when these icons die. Some of whom I'm friends with, and then some of whom, like Hitman Howie T, I interviewed, but then had interacted with a few times, a handful of times afterwards, off camera. Herbs One, I still make 90s styled hip hop beats. Love that gold school style. Yeah, me too, man. That's why I love talking to the icons that I do on Unique Access. And yeah, it's just always a shame when these artists pass away because they are the ones that shaped my childhood. And I know I'm not alone because people on that watch Unique Access tell me on a regular basis how, you know, I ask the questions they want to hear, or that they love the same music, or we have the same tastes. So that's really good. Carmel King, 200,000. Kid of Kid and Play was on Breakfast Club Radio. Kid gave Howie T a shout out. Kid said Howie T invented remixes before Puffy. Absolutely, for sure. Carmel King, 200,000. I interviewed Hitman Howie T. I would definitely watch those if you want to see a lot of the great things that he did. And one of the things Hitman Howie T told me during my interviews with him on Unique Access is that how he made tracks to fit the artist's flow. A little bit earlier, I talked about how Hitman Howie T explained to me that he had to teach special ed song structure because special ed just had, all these battle rhymes and all these rhymes. That's why if you look at Youngest in Charge in particular, they're not really a lot of choruses and stuff. And as special ed's career progressed, that changed a little bit and evolved as he and Howie T developed their chemistry, but also as special ed evolved as a songwriter after working with Hitman Howie T. Um, Hitman Howie T also told me during one of my interviews that the One album with Chub Rock was the only time that he and Chub Rock were thinking the album. So a lot of times they were just doing different things. Herbs One, cadence in the beat for sure. But these dudes are super creative. HV 370 or H874, I presume. RIP, definitely. That's what we're here talking about. Rest in peace to Hitman Howie T. I'm just still stunned to get the news. And the crazy thing that Hitman Howie T told me in the interviews is he never paid attention to the lyrics when he was producing. So I guess that means different things at different times. But to get the full explanation that he gave me, you can check out my interviews with Hitman Howie T. Divine Existence, RIP Howie T actually remixed Roxanne's Groove and made a video for it last year. I'll have to upload it tomorrow for sure. Howie was ahead of his time. That's for sure. And that's something I've been talking about. Hitman Howie T had his hands in so many different things. Obviously, Chub Rock featuring Hitman Howie T, but Howie T, you gotta realize that special ed auditioned for Howie T. you know, that's how deep and far back Howie T is in the game. And John Walker and The Winner Is, that's a great Chub Rock album. Howie T, of course, all over that. And that's something that I'll just cherish because I got that on vinyl. I have a lot of the stuff that Hitman Howie T did on vinyl with Chub Rock and Special Ed in particular. Um, and Howie T always paid homage to the artist. One of the things he told me in one of the interviews, he said, "My beats are the table, the lyrics are the legs that'll make the beat stand." So Howie T really understood production and really broke things down to me when I did speak to him, both on camera for Unique Access and then just in general when I would talk to him. So it's just, again, it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to do these great things that like talk to these artists and talk to these producers and talk to these people that help shape my life, help shape how I think, help shape how I live on a day-to-day basis by loving hip hop culture is just amazing. Hitman Howie T, of course, worked with the Real Roxanne early on, and he told me that she was never a writer. That didn't really surprise me when I was talking to him, but you know, that's just what it is. But speaking of that, Kango Kid, Hitman Howie T worked with UTFO early in the game, another Select Records act, and he said that Kango Kid always wanted to be a songwriter, which getting to meet Kango Kid and talk to him, he approached this as an art form, like a lot of people do, but he took it very seriously. Gilbert Hernandez, RP, a real legend RP. Love your channel, one of the realest out here. Enough respect. Thank you so much for that, Gilbert Hernandez. I really appreciate it. Stuff like that helps keep me inspired. Um, Carmel King, 200,000, Lady of Rage, aka Rock and Robin, was on Chub Rock's Bring 'em Home Safe record first. That's a wild bit of trivia. Also, with Lady of Rage, for those that know, LA Posse wanted to sign her. Uh, definitely, I'm good friends with Daryl Pierce and with Muffler. So that's wild too. Coverboy official RIP for sure. Howie's Never Go Back beat gave Special Ed a current sound for a rapper who people thought was out of touch in 1995. I think that's the thing about Hitman Howie T. I talked a lot so far in this live about a lot of his productions. And yeah, I mean, he and Chub Rock put a lot of great stuff out there, but Special Ed too. Like Hitman Howie T was the reason that Special Ed took off and became who he was. It was Hitman Howie T's beats. Hitman Howie T produced him. Hitman Howie T coached him. Special Ed ended up being a phenomenal artist, but that goes hand in hand with working with Hitman Howie T. So that's amazing. Lavish Stoner, thanks for jumping in the chat, RIP Howie T, and thanks for saying I do the great work. I appreciate it. Gilbert Hernandez, I'm old school, real B-boy. Yeah, man. That's it. Franz Fuller, RPT, damn. I'm feeling the same way, man. I'm feeling the same way. And for those that didn't know, Chub Rock's mother and Hitman Howie T's mother are sisters. So uh, Chub Rock and Hitman Howie T are cousins, obviously because of that. But that's why he and Chub Rock got on early together and worked together so long. Willie Dynamite, RIP to the great Hitman Howie T, for sure. One of the things that Hitman Howie T and I talked about was Little Sean's songwriting strengths. You know, I think that's something Little Sean, I think, obviously got in some controversy later with Biggie, but man, if you go back, one of my favorite one of my favorite Little Sean songs is The Hickeys on Your Chest. I love that. Cover Boy Official, I respect how you are a drama-free based platform. I've been watching your shows for years. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I think that's why people like Hitman Howie T agree to come on Unique Access and why I keep in touch with them and why a lot of people come back because I just love the music and I love hip hop culture and I love everything about it. And ever since I was 10 years old, it's been my favorite thing in the world. Gilbert Hernandez, I was just going through old 89 stuff and Chub Rock and The Winner Is, man, always in rotation. For sure, man. It's a phenomenal piece of work. It's phenomenal. And that's why people love it and keep revisiting it. So Uriel, Heaven's Guardian. Well, no wonder. Yeah, that's I'm sure why Chubb Rock and Howie T. Being cousins helps the cause. Coverboy official 100% hip hop is unique access entertainment. We really appreciate that. Everybody that helps me work on the channel, put in a lot of work and loves the culture. And I'm really grateful for that. If you haven't checked out my interviews with Hitman Howie T on the channel, definitely do so. Um, Hitman Howie T also told me during these interviews that Select Records would sign anything he brought in. And, he worked with UTFO, he worked with Chub Rock and had phenomenal success with Chub Rock in particular. So I'm not surprised that Select Records was very fond of Hitman Howie T. And as he told me in the interviews, they only got 25,000 for And the Winner Is. And fortunately, by the time they did the one, Hitman Howie T got 100,000 produced that album. So that ended up working out. Lord Moore, rest in peace and much, much love and respect. God rest his soul. God bless his memory. Absolutely. I'm still stunned. I'm a little like a deer in the headlights that Hitman Howie T has passed. I've been talking about um, getting to know him a little bit and talking to him for unique access. So, like you guys, I'm just shocked. Coverboy official, Howie T produced on a Little Vicious CD that I own. The song is called The Glock. Select Records had MOP to the Death Tape. Yes, that was the first and only thing on Select Records by MOP, as MOP, of course. Teddy Styles, Chub Rock, and Howie T, Rock and Roll Dude, Terminator X, Scratch It on Public Enemies, Bring the Noise. I actually talked with Terminator X about that. So if you haven't watched that, definitely check that out. That's just another connection and another link to how great Hitman Howie T was, that he ended up inspiring Terminator X, which then ended up on Bring the Noise, which then ended up being a huge song for Public Enemy and an amazing accomplishment. Carmel King, 200,000. I just found out a Kentucky artist named Static Major was a secret ghostwriter to Nas. Owe You Something, Genuine Hits, Aaliyah album, Live Pop by Lil Wayne. Shocking. I knew Static Major worked on Lil Wayne. The other ones I'm not sure of, just because I don't know. James Kreisberg, RIP to Hitman Howie T. Absolutely. And shout out to James for always supporting and helping Unique Access and being an integral part of the channel and making it happen with all his great work that he's done for Unique Access. Hitman Howie T also told me during his interview that he never had a production deal. And that just shows you how far rap has come and where it's gone since then. Because think of it, Hitman Howie T was producing hits and doing a lot with UTFO and even before them. But then with Chub Rock having all these huge successes on a totally independent label like Select, and then doing it again with Special Ed on Profile to show that different labels, it didn't matter, different artists didn't matter, different styles didn't matter. Hitman Howie T was the connectivity and the glue that got those records big. Coverboy official, Caramel King, 200,000. Nas came in, club songs. The song was trash. Nas wrote it. Howie T, RIP, Coverboy official, Color Me Bad. Yeah, I talked about that. I Want to Sex You Up. Howie T worked on that. And Howie T told me that he produced I Want to Sex You Up. So if he did or co-produced it and he didn't get credit for that, that's an atrocity. But he is on the credits for it. So definitely look for that if you haven't seen it already. Hitman Howie T also told me when I talked to him that he never had a manager, which is shocking given all the success he had and how he was successful in the 80s through the 90s and had label jobs and all these different things. So that's shocking. Shout out Tim Davis for jumping in the chat. Appreciate that. Also, Full Force, Hitman Howie T told me that Full Force was the one that gave him the Hitmaker moniker. Howie T was going by, and then the Hitman because of the great job that he was doing. Full Force, UTFO early in the game, and then really breaking through and getting some gold or near gold records with Chub Rock is pretty amazing. But Hitman Howie T, man, I'm just shocked and still amazed. And Hitman Howie T told me how much he loved music, because he told me about how his mother found him asleep behind a speaker box one time. that just shows you, when you're in love with music, like I'm sure we all are, you can fall asleep to it, even if it's your favorite thing and it's the most stimulating thing you have. I know I've fallen asleep many times because it just helped me relax. So, that's something that was a special memory he had, and I was grateful that he shared it with me. Hitman Howie T also told me about getting Mr. Magic and Marley Marl to remix CD3's "Get Tough." So that was a wild memory from his early work. Select Records had Jerky Boys 2, Coverboy Official, of course. They had the Real Roxanne selected as well. They had UTFO, of course, um, Kid and Play, obviously. So they had a lot of big records. One of the funny things that Hitman Howie T told me was how UTFO backed out of a battle between Hitman Howie T and his crew and UTFO, which I always thought was pretty funny. So that's hilarious. Just thinking back to these conversations I had with Hitman Howie T, he shared so many gems and opened up and really opened up a lot, but then also gave so much great history and so much knowledge. And definitely, if you haven't seen him yet, I've seen a lot of people commenting on him that they've been watching these interviews the last couple hours when they found out Hitman Howie T just passed today, August 2nd, 2025. So I'm just still stunned and just grateful I got to know him a little bit and talk to him. And shout out to Dana Dane as always for connecting me with him. Um, the Hitman Howie T also told me about Kango Kid asked him to be the Real Roxanne's DJ. So of course UTFO helped launch Real Roxanne, and she was on Select like UTFO was, and then Hitman Howie T, of course, had Chub Rock. Um, Coverboy Official, we need more platforms like Unique Access Entertainment. It's unmatched. I really appreciate that. Thank you. It really means a lot, especially at times like this when it's terrible news to be able to, conversate and chat with you guys about this type of stuff and go down memory lane and all that stuff. Caramel King, 200,000. I found out there are secret songwriter and songmaker websites for major label artists. Now I want to know Doja Cat doesn't write her raps. Yeah, you can find out a lot of stuff. Some of it, of course, true. Some of it isn't. But a lot of things are much more collaborative than you might imagine or that people say. SBL Bay, RIP to Hitman Howie T. Yeah, man, that's why we're here. And I'm just still stunned. Herbs One, thanks for sharing your stories and past with Howie T, Mr. Baker. Thank you for watching and for supporting Unique Access and Hitman Howie T, because that's the only reason we're here, because we love his music. Um, uh, some people, Doja Cat may or may not be hip hop or rap to most people, but that's for another day. Uh, Shout out to Tim Davis. Yes, Soren been holding it down. To be honest, I love it. You keep the 80s and 90s hip hop era alive. Thank you, Tim Davis. Yeah, man, that's one of the great things that I love doing and that I get to do for a living. And this is like a dream come true for me to be able to do for a living and to be able to talk about support and, you know, all these guys that I idolize and women. So we talking Howie T, Coverboy Official, right? Russell Adams. Wow. I gotta give love to that. Russell Adams. Thanks for the super chat, the $5. That's huge. Thank you. Donations go a long way. The channel's not big enough to where I get to do it for a living yet, but I'm trying to get it there. So every contribution people give goes a long way toward that. Good to see you on your live. Rest in peace, Howie T. Yes, Russell Adams. Getting to know Howie T a little bit over the last couple years. It's just shocking that he passed, and that's why I want to jump on right away since I was reading and home. It was just wild. It's XY. I was just listening to Taxing the other day. Damn, I know. That's a crazy thing. Hitman Howie T's music stands the test of time. That's why we got all the people on the chat right now. And that's why so many people watch my interviews with Hitman Howie T on Unique Access, because his music, helped change our lives. I know it changed my life. I got to see Chub Rock in person in 93 at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Got to see him on the same bill with Rare Essence, Go-Go Group. one of my favorite, RE. So um, yeah, it's wild. Euros Heaven's Guardian, shouting out Russell Adams, John Walker. You are official. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Getting a little choked up talking about some of these memories, man. But it's kind of wild, you know. And that's you get so many of these great stories, and something that Howie T told me was, the one of the great stories and anecdotes that Howie T told me when I talked to him, and that's on Unique Access. Check it out if you haven't watched it. Is Kango Kid was mad at Full Force, and that's why he started Whistle. So when you get these type of stories, um, it's just kind of wild, man, because you get to understand things and put these puzzle pieces together in a way that you might not otherwise. I had interviewed Unique Special Ed also on Unique Access, and of course, we talked about Howie T. So that's definitely something to check out. Yeah, but mostly watch the Unique Access interviews with Hitman Howie T. There's several on the site. I was fortunate enough to get to meet him through Dana Dane, and then uh, get to keep in touch with him a little bit. And if you pay attention and watch, Hitman Howie T's wearing an alumni shirt that I wear in a lot of interviews too. That's Dana Dane's group, which includes Special Ed and Kwame. Um, so even Howie T was supporting there. Glenn Jones, us 80s hip hop fans have to face their reality. We are in our 50s and our hip hop heroes are probably in their 60s. Their health isn't the best, and we will keep losing these pioneers. Sadly, RIP Howie. Yeah, man, that's something that we're seeing more and more, and is increasingly unfortunate because of a variety of factors. Glenn Jones or Coverboy Official agreeing with Glenn Jones. That's correct. They need to release more music. I don't know what Howie T had in the works. Maybe he had stuff, but I have the fortune for knowing a lot of guys. Dana Dane told me today during our live. If you watch that, definitely check it out. But he's got new music coming soon. Kwame, I already had a chance to hear his whole album. It comes out the end of August 2025. Uh, Definitely check that out when it comes out. It's amazing. And Kwame is really amazing. It's called The Different Kids. So, you know, check that out. Um, Coverboy Official. We got a lot of stuff going on. Brother Chris P. Soren said to hear Howie T's passing. He recently saw Kwame at a festival in Baltimore in July. That's amazing. I was just mentioning that Kwame's new album is coming out at the end of August. The Different Kids. I've heard it. I've talked to Kwame about it. He said it'll come on Unique Access again. It's amazing, and I'm telling you, it's so layered and so deep. And it's a shorter album, so I definitely think you should check it out. Um, yeah, Herbs One, Kwame's album is amazing. Definitely check it out when it comes out at the end of the month. Uh, Phone 99 Rising, didn't know he's related to Chub Rock. Yeah, they're cousins. Hitman Howie T and Chub Rock are cousins. Their mothers are sisters. Uh, Hitman Howie T told me that in our interview that we did on Unique Access Entertainment. Brother Chris, yes, Kwame still sounds good. And when you hear the Different Kids album, he sounds immaculate and phenomenal. And he produced it. I think if and when you listen to it, Brother Chris, it's really going to impress you because Kwame sounds like uh, portions of the best Kwame you've ever heard. Like it's really, really amazing, and the production on there is stellar. So definitely check out the Different Kids and Kwame. He told me I talked to him actually yesterday, and he told me he'll come back on Unique Access. We were talking a lot about the Different Kids, his new album, and of course that Divine Existence, Peace Swords. Perhaps you could track down the Real Roxanne for an interview soon. Howie's Teed Off was a pretty unique song with the cutting and singing combo. I've tried to get the Real Roxanne. I know a couple people that at least were in touch with her, but I haven't been able to get her yet. So hopefully I will. And I appreciate the suggestion. That'll spur me to reach out to a couple people that I know at least knew her back in the day. Sadly, I haven't been able to get her. Yes, Coverboy Official AMG was also on Select. Bitch Better Have My Money was on there, that album. And the second album, Tim Davis Kwame is an amazing producer and rapper. Some of the cuts he did on the low were like, whoa, that is for sure. Phone 99 Rising, Kwame's newer joint Stroke Different is in my playlist. That is on the Different Kids album from Kwame that's coming out at the end of the month. So definitely, if you like that song, that's similar, but definitely not the only vibe that you get on the Different Kids. But it is reflective of Kwame's lyrical prowess and acumen on the Different Kids, his production, the energy he's bringing to it, and just the creativity and kind of that blend of the classic stuff from the 80s that Kwame obviously was a part of and continued through the early to mid 90s and then now is bringing back. And Incognito was his last project. So that's been a long time. So I'm glad. Howie T was at Quad Studio the day Tupac got it at Quad. I wasn't aware that Carmel King 200,000, but maybe that makes sense in the sense that it was a Little Sean session and Hitman Howie T worked with Little Sean. So maybe I hadn't heard that. So that's interesting. Daryl Scott, what? Yeah, man, we're here talking about Hitman Howie T, how he just passed today, August 2nd, 2025. Just very disheartened by this news. Again, I got to meet Hitman Howie T through Dana Dane, my good friend, and interview him here on Unique Access and then talk to him a couple of times off camera and text with them and interact with them. And man, crazy stuff. Coverboy Official, do I plan on creating a record label or do I have one and produce your own music? RIP Howie T. I don't have my own label. I've always wanted to have one, but haven't done it yet. So if you know people that want to partner or invest or partner with me, definitely have them hit me up. Because that's something I've done. I have a Spotify playlist of the beats that I've sold. So I have worked with and helped a lot of artists and done some pretty big things. On that note, the biggest one I sold beats for the legendary Trackster, who you guys might know, of course, through his work with Do or Die and Twister primarily. But I did a lot of stuff with him. And the biggest thing I did, check it out if you haven't already listened to it. It's called One and Only by Mariah Carey featuring Twister. I sold that beat to Mariah Carey. That was the biggest one. I also did My World by Tech Nine. Sold that beat for Trackster. That's on his Ever Ready, the Religion album. And then sadly, last month we lost Young Noble. And on the Outlaws 2005 AP album, Trackster did Big Ballin' and Let It Burn, both of which, I sold to the Outlaws because I was friends with Young Noble, rest in peace, and definitely watched my live I did on that, but then also good friends with Idi Amin, who I've had on Unique Access a lot. Black Seed Beats, peace to you, sir. Thank you for your service to hip hop. Likewise, thank you for tuning in to watch this live and for supporting Unique Access. Gerald Scott, another legend gone. Absolutely. Like you, I mean, I got the tears. Like I'm like misty eyed, and I just can't believe it. Dana Dane was with Slick Rick, I think, Coverboy Official. Yeah, they went to high school together and good friends. They were in the Kango crew. Got Dana Dane on Unique Access all kinds of times. So definitely check out my interviews with Dana Dane. Uriel Heaven's Guardian, what you make beats? Where can we hear them? No, I don't make beats, or I did, but I only made one back in the day, and I decided I had other things I was going to spend more time on. No, I sold beats of the legendary Tracksters to different artists. So I didn't sell any beats that I made. I sold legendary Tracksters beats. The biggest one being One and Only by Mariah Carey featuring Twister. It's on her Emancipation of Mimi album. So that's probably my favorite song because it's just shocking that we got to work with Mariah Carey, and then shocking that we will, of course, get Twister on it. But the fact that that song sounds amazing and how Mariah is flowing on there. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Yeah, I don't. I wish I made beats, especially as good as Legendary Trackster, but no. So anyway, uh, really appreciate you guys coming through. I'm about to wrap it up. So if you have any questions, real quick, let me know. If not, I really appreciate your support. And Russell Adams, if you're still on, thank you so much for the donation, super chat, and supporting us here on Unique Access. Um, Black Seed Beats, Battle Cat did record jock for Dana Dane Fire. Yeah, on Rolling with Dana Dane, Battle Cat did a lot of his stuff on there. So that's crazy. And Dana Dane, one of my good friends. Russell Adams, do I know the journalist Tabitha Soren? No. Somebody actually thought we were related, but that's her last name. My first name is Soren, her last name Baker. So no, I don't. I don't know her. Never met her. I'd like to though. She's obviously somebody I saw back in the day. Where did Howie T finally rest at? That I'm not sure, Daryl Scott. Maybe we'll get that information soon. Have a question. Diplomats are better than the locks, right? That's a tough question. I'd have to really think about that one. Uh, so we'll see. Coverboy official. Caramel King, 200,000. Howie T didn't sign a real paperwork for producer songwriter for his artists. So why network so low? How he treated beat making as secondary to DJing. I don't know about that. Caramel King, 200,000, but maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know the answer to that. But yeah, I'm just really grateful and appreciative to everybody coming through. Thank you for supporting Unique Access. Thank you for supporting Hitman Howie T. Talked a lot about him. Definitely check out the interviews I did with him on Unique Access Entertainment. Definitely check out the interviews I did with Special Ed, where we talk about Hitman Howie T. If you want to learn more about Hitman Howie T, get it from him himself. And then from Special Ed, Uriel Heaven's Guardian. All right, sir. Peace out. Thank you for all you do. Keep it up. We need this. Much love and respect. Thank you. And likewise, Brother Chris, keep it up. Keep up the great work, Soren. Thank you, Brother Chris, for saying that and for watching Unique Access. And thank you to everyone that supports the channel. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to make sure you get in the algorithm. How did he pass TMI Santiago? I don't know yet. I just went live when the news. I saw that the news had happened. Coverboy official, we need you live more. Unique Access Entertainment. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more lives. So I'm glad that we're getting support for them, and we'll be doing more of these, hopefully. And like I did one earlier today with Dana Dane, much better circumstances. Dana Dane's got a new movie, Sin, on Tubi that he produced. So if you haven't watched that yet, definitely check it out. It's got Louis Gossett Jr. in it, one of his last roles before he passed. So definitely check that out. Sin on Tubi, produced by Dana Dane, starring Angel Love and Louis Gossett Jr. Matt Treese, appreciate you, homie. Great show. Stay blessed. One love from the LBC. Thank you so much for that. Daryl Scott, always have much respect for you, my bro. Thank you. Carmel King, 200,000. How I save people's careers. That's for sure. Yes. So appreciate it, Matt Treese. Coverboy official watching it now. We'll watch. Appreciate it. Check out my interviews with Hitman Howie T. And sadly, won't get to do another one with him, but at least I got to meet him and talk to him. And thank you, as always, for Dana Dane. Getting me in touch with Hitman Howie T. And definitely watch my interviews with him. Really appreciate everybody's support. And then I'll catch you next time. Unique Access Entertainment. And appreciate it.